Um, all right, I have, over to you. You can get started.
Yeah, thank you, Jigar. So, welcome you all again here. A very good morning, good noon, and good evening according to your time zone. A brief introduction about me. My name is Amit Singh, and I'm a certified Salesforce application architect. I have been titled as Lightning Champion. Currently, I'm an analytics champion. I'm a founder of SFDCPanther.com, and at the Cloudy Amit is my Twitter handle. You can follow me there. So today's agenda is what we are going to learn is how we can troubleshoot the errors of any kind of process, either it is an APIS class, process builder, approval process, or how we can get the status about our email addresses. Either those emails are being sent successfully or we are getting some kind of errors. And then what is the best way to track all the audit changes, like how we are like how many fields are being created, any admin has been logged in with some other users or doing some kind of activities. And then we will going forward and learn about some field history tracking, like how to track what was the previous value for a field and then what is the new value and who was the user who changed that particular record. And then at the end we will learn about some logging history and how we can work with IP whitelisting. So before we get started, some housekeeping rules. Please mute your mic and your video. Keep adding your questions into the Q&A window. No questions are silly, and we will open up the bridge in the last 15 or 20 minutes of the session for the question and answer. We'll get to start with debug log. So debug logs are basically used to track the information of all the events that
Hey,
occur.
Amit, sorry to barge in. Can you run the slide deck in the presentation mode? I think that'd be better if you can.
Workflow rules, any approval process, validation rules, or if you are making any changes to your existing records, like you are updating some fields or you are adding new records into your system, or you have some triggers, you are executing some code from developer console with the help of anonymous window, all those information will be tracked with the help of debug log. So how these debug logs get into the picture and how these help us while we are working in our environment. So let's say first we are talking about these sessions are basically related to our admin perspective. So we have developed some flows, we have developed process builders, we have developed some validation rules, approval process, we also developed some assignment rules. So whenever we are updating or creating any records, we wanted to track the information, how things are going, how the flows is happening, what is the execution order for all this automation process. We can track all those information in the debug log. And even more, we can also get what exact error we are getting. If there is any error while saving the record into the database, we can track those information in the debug log itself. So here are few information that we can track, like what all database changes are being happened for existing or new records. If you are making any kind of call outs with the help of external services or with the help of our APIS classes, we can also track those, what all errors are there coming with the help of apex or with the help of a chain of apex, like we are calling one class from another class and then that class is responsible for calling to another helper class. What are all resources that we are using with the help of apex, like apex is responsible for calling another trigger which is because of some data manipulation in our system, or what all existing processes are there, like workflow rules, assignment rules, and approval process. So these are the all available debug log labels that we can select for each, like apex class, process builders, nbas, uh, apex triggers, automation process. These are the debug logs from lowest to highest level. So none is the lowest one and finest is the highest level. And these debug logs are also cumulative debug logs. So if we are setting a finest as a debug log for let's say for an example of apex class, if we are using finest, we will get the result for all these, like error, warning, info, debug. So all this, whatever the highest debug we are setting up, we will get the information for all those lowest what all logs level are coming before that. So we will see in the action. So let's quickly see the demo. To turn the debug log on, we just need to go to setup, and then in the quick find search, we need to find debug log. And under this debug logs, you will have either your username. If you have created any debug log for you, you will get those what all users you have enabled. Like if you wanted to track the information at a user level, you first need to enable the flag for that user, and that flag can only be enabled for 24 hours, not more than that. So I'm logged in as Apex or speaker. I will delete this debug log. So to enable to create a new debug log, what you need to do is you just need to click on new, and here you will get all the information. You are seeing traced entity type. Here you can select either a user. If you wanted to select the if you wanted to track the activity, what all activity that user is doing, you can select that user. If you wanted to select some automation process like process builders, some platform events, all those kind of things. Or if you wanted to track the activity for a particular Apex class, like if you know you are working with some Apex class, you wanted to see what how the class is being executed and where you are getting the error, you can select Apex class, and in this test entity name you will only able to get those information, whatever the information that you have selected in entity type, you will only get the result for those here. So as we don't have any class in our environment, this is why we are not able to get any class. Now further, if you're working with Apex triggers, you wanted to see the debug log for a particular Apex trigger, you can also select Apex trigger, and then you can select your trigger here. But for our demo we are going to use user. So and I'm logged in as Apex Rs. So if you want to see, I'm logging as Apex Rs speaker. I will select that user here as an entity, and then for start date you just need to click on the hyperlink next to that. It will automatically populate the date and time, and then for the end date you just need to select one day before that, the current day. And then debug label, this debug label will define what kind of information you are going to get in your debug logs. As we saw in our presentation, like these are the debug labels. So Salesforce already have a predefined debug label with the best that we can use for every kind of entity, like workflow, validation rules, uh, external callouts for Apex class, for Apex profiling, Visual Force pages. And if you wanted to create a new, you can create new here, and based on your what entity you want to like for which particular operations you want to select which one, you can select here, and then based on that you can give it a name, and then after saving, your entity will be available once you will click on lookup. So I will quickly save this developer logs, and I will not make any changes because Salesforce by default does fills this with the appropriate debug log labels that you need to track for your entities. The error is because here it only contains the underscores. We cannot provide space or any special characters here. So you can see that it saved that entity, and it also populated that entity with the entity that we created for our debug levels. You can see two entities are here now. If you save this, this is how we can enable. Once you will enable, you will get two entity here, one for user debug and one what we created as a log type. So now let's see what process builder we do have on which object, so that we can do some manipulation and see in action. As in our earlier sessions, we have developed some process builder on account and contact object to perform some updates on related objects. We have one process builder on account object. We just need to check what is the criteria to execute this process builder so that we can make that changes. It is just simple that we need to change an account country, and it will update what are all the related contacts, their mailing country. So let's go ahead and update that country in our account. So as of now, if you go back to your setup again and you will try to find out debug logs here, you will see there is one debug log we are able to get. And why we are getting this debug log? Because we have opened this particular detail page for account, and in even if inside this detail page we are using any kind of custom vf pages or any lightning components, lightning web components, for those debug logs we will get at the time of page loading. So this is why we get only a single debug log. Let's delete this before we are making any kind of changes. Now let's edit this record, and we will change the country, billing city, and let's change billing country USA to US. Save this record, and after saving this, now go back to your debug log. You wanted to see how the how the flow is flowing. You will get few entries for a debug log. You can see the first entry is whatever the changes we have made to the record, and the second entry is after making the changes, the record has been loaded again for the updated information. So now let's open both the entries one by one. So this is the second one after the record has been loaded after we edited. Before we go ahead, let's check the first one. So here you see that we have a debug log which has some lines to describe. So first line that you will get here, this first line will always talk about all the debug labels that you have set up while enabling the flag for your user. So if you see, for Apex code, we have set finest. For Apex profiling, we have set information. For callout, there is info. For the database information, there is info. So this line is called as header line, and then below that, this particular part is known as a timestamp. You will get on which particular time this particular debug has taken place, and after that, it's known as event identifier, where you will get what kind of operation has been executed. Either it is executing any kind of validation rule, or it is you have used some debug statements in your Apex classes or in your triggers. You will get those information. So before, you will see here you execution started. So from here you will this execution will started, and then you will get once execution finished. So you will get everything, every debug statement, every validation rule, every process builders, every flow information between these two statements. Now, if you see code unit started, what is this? Is the type is external, and it is saying that there is a validation rule on account, and whose ID is this. This is the account ID where this validation rule has taken a place, and the name of validation rule is website required. What is the value for that website that we already have? And then it said that validation pass. That means we did not get any error, and the validation has been successfully passed whatever the formula we have given for the validation rule. And then it is saying that code unit finished. That means the validation rule for this account has been finished successfully. We did not get any error. Now it will again start user information. Who is the user? What is the username? What is the ID? What was the local time zone for that user? and then it is saying that we have some duplicate rule on account, which is saying that a duplicate account, what was the DML, we updated an account, and based on that, that duplicate rule get triggers, and it is we did not get any duplicate record. So this is how you will get. And now let's talk about the thing that we are looking here. So for our workflow rules, you can see we have a workflow rules on account, which is it is a criteria. Here we are checking account is this, this is update child contacts. So these are two contacts related to that account that we are going to update. And then here you can see we have a criteria for our process builders contact. First contact is this, for which we are updating a mailing country. Second contact is this, and third one is this. And at the end, if you see here, you have get your triggers. There was only one trigger on account object, that what we got here. So if you notice here, we did not get any kind of named as a process. So everything that you use as a process builder or a workflow rules or flow, that everything will comes under either a flow or a workflow. So this is why we are able to get workflow rules instead of a process builder. So if you are looking for a process builder, just look for either a workflow rule or sorry, either a workflow or a flow. You will get the information that you are looking for. So this was about how to turn the debug log and how to work with debug log. So as we don't have, as we are not working in the coding side, so I'm not able to show you the things about the coding side. Once we will plan those sessions, we will you will get to know that as well. Next is email logs. So email logs are basically used to get what all emails we have sent from Salesforce, either to our email that are our like for an organization, or those emails that are out of our organizations. We can get email logs for 30 days, for the previous 30 days. We cannot get the email logs more than previous 30 days. In email logs, what basically we get is we get a CSV file where we get uh, the timestamp of what time we send the email, who was the user, or what was the email address by whom we sent an email address, and what is the information with some additional details. So let's see how we can enable the debug log and how we get that debug log. Sorry, email logs. So to get the email logs, you need to type email logs in your quick find search box, and from here you need to request. You need to request for what is the timestamp that you want to get the email logs for your organization, and then based on that timestamp, Salesforce will generate a log for you, and then it will send an email to you that your email logs are ready, and then you can download those email logs in the form of CSV files. So if you see here, you need to request an email log, and you can see here we have got an start time and end time. By default, it gives you a 1 week time, where you can either you can select more than 1 week, like if you want to select some previous timestamp that I want to select, in which email you want to, like what is the email and who are the notification recipients. So I am going to keep this email as it is, and I will submit this request. So you can see that we have pending email request. So once this email logs are available, we will get that email, whatever the emails was there, we'll get that information, a notification that your email logs are ready and you can download. So it will take some time. So what we'll do is we'll continue with our other setup, and then before ending up our session, we will open this, we will download the logs, and then we will open, and then we will see what all information we are getting there. Next, we have set up audit trails. So how this setup audit trails works and what exactly it is. So in our Salesforce environment, there are multiple developers who are working on like developing some apex triggers, visual force pages, lightning components, or they are working on some kind of lightning app pages, app builders pages, like they are creating app builders pages, or they are making changes into the page layouts. Admin can and we wanted to track who was the user who created a field, who was the user who changed the page layout, what was the time, what was the timestamp. So all those activity we can track inside setup audit logs. So whatever we made the changes, like we turned the debug log, we try to request email log information, we will be able to get those information under the setup audit. So we will able to see the top 20 information in the setup audit trails. And then after, if you wanted to see more, we can download that as a csv file, and then we can see the information. So how does this help to in our organization? So there is a case like, let's say that there is a some sales representations sales rep who has made some changes into the close opportunity before leaving the firm. Now after 1 month or 2 months, the reports that managements are seeing, those reports are showing some kind of loss to their environment, to their management. Now they wanted to check which particular deal or which particular information has altered before we have generated those reports. So there this setup trails comes into the picture. Then admin can download those, and then they can see who was the user who has made some changes into the system, and then they can easily track those information. So let's see how we can set up and how it looks like. So to get that, just type audit into the quick search box. You will get that view setup audit trail under security, and here you will see the information, the top 20 information. As you can see, the user has been logged in, like this user has logged out as a login access for admin apex, or some user has changed the profile from system admin to sales. And what is the section, you can also see the section. And even you can see has changed some assignment rules for customizing the cases. And if you want to see the complete information, you can just click here to download your csv file. So if you're able to see, you can see we have n number of entries here in our file. We can get what was the automation process for this user, like that a verification email has been sent to the user by automated process. What was the section for that, for managing the users? And then after, a password has been changed for that user. So this is a complete list that you can get for tracking your information. Uh, let's see in it is an action. What we'll do is we'll try to create some fields. An account will create a roll-up summary field that will calculate sum of open opportunities. So which object we wanted to summarize? We have only opportunity. What we wanted to do is we wanted to calculate the sum of amount field for only open opportunities. So what we'll do is we will use a filter here, and we will say one. That means opportunity is not equals to Yes, that means we have not closed that opportunity yet. I'll make this field visible to all users. And here you can see we are adding this field to all layout of our account object. So let's save this. Now first go back to our account object. We will see if we are able to see that field in our detail page or not. You can see that we have some of open opportunity, but we are not getting any like any value here. Why we are not getting? If you go to related, we have only one opportunity, which is closed one. So let's try to create a new opportunity. And for amount, let's say any random amount. And we are not selecting any stage like closed on or closed loss, so that we can be sure that this opportunity is still open. Now if you go to your detail page and if you refresh this, let's quickly check what is wrong with the filter. So before going there, let's go back to our audit log. This is a entry that we made by creating a field that is saying that sum of open opportunities. What was the aggregation function that we used was sum, and after that we added that field into 4 layouts. So this is what we can get here. Like we created a roll-up summary field. Now let's quickly go to Epis class section and create a Epis class, and we will see that entry to here in our audit log section. I will name it as account trigger handler. Now if once we save it, again go back to audit section, you will see that we have created an Epis class that the name is account trigger handler, and then after we save that, that is saying that we have changed an Epis class. Even we did not make any changes, we just after created we defined the body and we saved that. So this is how this audit trails works. We can get all those information, like a user is enabling my domain, user is enabling communities. You can track all those information over here. Either you have deleted some fields, you have deleted some objects, page layouts, every single thing that is related with the customization or configuration, you can get all those information under this setup audit trail. Next thing is we have field history tracking. So how this field history tracking is basically for tracking the previous information of a field or previous value to a new value. So let's say that we have a field amount in our opportunity object. We wanted to track what was the previous value before we change the value for that amount field in our opportunity object. Or if we have states in our opportunity, we wanted to track how this opportunity has what was the path that opportunity followed while it has been converted to the closed one. So for those information, we can enable the field history, and then we can see that information into our new object called as audit trails. like for if we are talking about opportunity, it will be like opportunity history, or if you have some custom object like invoice, that new object will be invoice history. The label for that object will be invoice history. So to enable the field history for your standard object, the process is completely different with the like to enable the field history for our custom object. So for standard objects or for custom objects, let's directly see this in our demo. So let's say that for opportunity we were talking about, we wanted to enable field history tracking for opportunity amount and stage. So for that, what we need to do is you just need to go to that object from object manager and then go to fields and relationship section, and there you will see a button called set history tracking field. Then you need to click on that. Then after you will see a checkbox that you need to enable, and after enabling you will get a list of fields where you can enable field history tracking. Now let's we wanted to enable on account and we wanted to enable on stage. So let's save it. After saving, if you want to see this history in your opportunity object under that record, what you need to do is you just need to go to page layout, and then under that page layout you need to edit your page layout and then add those that related list into the related list section. So you can see we have opportunity field history object. So if we'll enable this, like we will add this related list here. This list is not customizable. We will get the information there. What was the old value, what is the new, and who was the user who performed that. So first we need to make sure that what is the current layout for that opportunity that we are looking at. So let's open this opportunity. Yeah, this is the layout we added, and we are able to get that related list under this particular page layout. If you're not getting that related list even after adding, that means there can be two things. Either you have added this related list into the wrong layout, or you are you have modified your page with the help of Lightning App Builder. So how that can be achieved, how the admin has modified that, let me show you by editing that app page. So here under in left side section, you can see if I type here related list, you will see a related list single. If you drag and drop this particular item into your canvas, into your panel, you will see a single related list. You need to select for which object you wanted to see the related list, and you have related lists. This is for all the related lists that you have added into your page layout. So if you go here, you can see that this particular section is a related list section where we will get the complete layout, like all the related list we have added to that. Or if you wanted to remove this and we wanted to add some related list, some single element here, we can add that as well. So like there might be a question how this related list single is helpful for us. So this is helpful, like we wanted to add some conditional access for the users, like whom we wanted to display this related list or whom we don't wanted to display the related list. In that case, we can add those, we can use this single related list functionality. So for this, let's select opportunity field history, and for this we will say products. Let's save this. Now if you go to the related record, you will only be able to see two related lists, one for field history and one for products. So now let's make any changes to our amount field and stage. So we have this amount field, let's make it this, and for the stage let's say as a navigation review. You can see now we are able to see the entry for two. One is saying that we have changed amount. What was the this is the original value that was earlier, that we can say that old value, and this is the new value that we changed to. And who was the user who changed? I was the user, name is as Apex RC speakers. And what was the field like in which we have performed that operation? For one there was a stage, for second there was an amount. Even if you wanted to make some changes to like enable field history tracking for multiple fields, you can go there into the field section and then for that set history tracking button. After that you will get information here, and then you can enable like you wanted to track close data as well, you wanted to track if the account for that opportunity is being changed or not, what is the lead source, what was the next status that has been updated. It is with the help of all those stage names or not, or if you wanted to track for descriptions as well, you can select those information, you can select those fields here, and all those, whenever you will make any changes into those fields values, you will get this those information under that object. That will be like for opportunity, it is opportunity field history. Now if you wanted to track field history information for custom objects, so what is the processor for that? So we created one custom object that we said teachers in one of our episodes. So for this, what you need to do is you need to go to detail section of your custom object, click on edit button, and you need to check this checkbox called as track field history. If you have not checked, you need to check this. After checking this checkbox, just hit save, and then now go back to your field and relationship section. Now this button will appear, set history tracking. Just click on that, and as of now we have only two fields because we don't have any custom fields for this object. So let's say that we will create one field here quickly. We will say name it as email. And here you see that description. Description is basically useful for tracking why we are using this particular email. So we can say that used for storing the email of a teacher. And help text is something that it lets the user to see what kind of information you want from them. Like let's say that we can say that enter a valid email address. I want to some specific email address like ending with @gmail.com, or whatever message you wanted to see your user while creating those records. We will see this. And then if you wanted to make that field as a required, or if you wanted to make that field unique, that means this field will be unique across all the records for this particular object. Or if you wanted to enable the field as external ID, this we will not going to cover in this session. Now if you go to your set history tracking, you will see your field here. So let's enable all those here, and let's quickly create an object. So let's say that we are saying that apex hours, and here you remember we put some help text for that field. So this is the help text that a user will get here once over this info icon, and user will get what is the instruction for the user that user needs to follow. So let's say that we are saying that apexhouse at gmail.com. We saved this, but we did not added that history object as in a related list. So now let's go to the page layout and quickly add that related list. You can see the object name is teacher, and we are able to get a related list called as teacher history. So you can just drag and drop that and quickly save this. Now we have that teacher history, and we got one that we created a record for whatever the record we have created. We will get that as it is a custom object. We will get that information as well here. We have created, that means we have created this particular object. Now let's try to edit a this email. We said that bestors.dev@gmail.com, and under field history you will see we have changed an email. This was the original value, and this was the new value that we have changed to. Now even if you are trying to change the owner of this, we are not intend to send the email to the owner. We change the owner for that record, and you will see here we are able to get that information as well. So this is how you can take advantage of field history while you are working, and this is especially for tracking the information of your key values for a particular object. Like you have opportunity, in opportunity you have stage name, in cases you have what all status for that cases are, and what was the initial value for that stage, and all those information you can track. So next thing that we have is login history and IP whitelisting. So login history is basically used to track the information, the login information of all the users. Either it has been successful, or the login has been blocked because of a number of certain number of invalid password attempts, or you are logging from outside of your IP ranges. And IP ranges are like we can add IP ranges as a two places, one as a organization level and other as a profile level. So when we wanted to, like let's say sometimes you must have faced this issue, like you are trying to log in from your system and you are getting some verification code. Even if you have logged in from your system multiple times, still you are getting the verification code for your login every time. So if you want to skip that, what you need to do is you just need to find your IP address, go to network access and add that IP address. After adding that IP address, you will not be able to log in into like you will not get that verification code again once you will try to log in into your system. And there is another use case, like you have some certain profiles and you wanted your users to log in from your network only. Then you can add your IP ranges at a profile level, and then if the user will try to log in from the IP range that is outside of the IP range which is added at the profile level, user will not able to get login into the system, and all those activity will be tracked into the login history. So now let's do this how we can do. First we'll try to add IP ranges at organization level. So we need to type here network access. And in the meantime, let's find our IP. You can see if you type my IP in Google, you will get what is your current IP address.
Hey Amit, are you there? It seems
Yeah, sorry. Yep.
you were on mute. Okay.
Yep. So to add IP address, basically you need to find your IP address. From the Google, you just need to type my IP. You'll get your IP address, and then go back to your network access. Click on new, and put the same IP range at for the start address and at the for the end address. If you know that you have something other network range for an end IP address, you can use that as well. If you're not, then you don't need to worry about that. Just use the same for both start and end. And for the description, you can say that if you have like here's you can say like this. So now once you will login from this system, logging from this IP range, you will not get the verification code. Now, if you are logging from outside IP, that is not this IP address, or that is outside of this IP range, you will get the verification code. Now, next that we discuss about is a IP range as a profile label. So that is basically to access the your Salesforce environment from a range of an IP range, and this is for securing your Salesforce environment. Like you have some, your management don't want to let the users log in from the outside of your organization network. So for that, what you need to do is they will provide you a list of IP ranges that you need to note down those IP ranges and then go to your profile. And for example, you don't want your custom support users, you don't want your support representatives to log in outside of your organization network. You just need to go to that profile. So here basically you only need to identify which profile you don't want to, which profile user you don't want to access from a particular IP range. You just need to go there, that particular profile, and then find your link called like login IP ranges. Click on that, and here you will see add IP range. You can add a number of IP ranges that you want, and here you can add like we discussed, let's say that we already had this, as we are not using this profile for any of our user, we can use that. Now if any user which is associated with this particular profile, let's see if we have any user with this profile or not. So any user which is having this custom support profile is trying to log in out of my IP range will not be able to log in into this environment, and login will be denied. And all those information we will track here under login history that we are talking about. So in the login history, you will see all the users who has been trying to access into the system, and every single information you will get here. What was the source IP range that the user who tried to log in? What was the location for that? What was the application type? Either it is a login application, or someone is trying to access remotely, or you are trying to access with the help of some APIs. You will get all those information over here, and in this status column you will get either it is a success or it is a failed. What was the reason behind that? And then you will also see if the password is not valid, there was an invalid attempt, you will also get here, you will also get the information like say that invalid password. So this is also important for an admin to troubleshoot the error if the user is saying that he is giving some, like he has been trying to log into the system and is not able to access the system. Then in that case, user admin can quickly go to login history and check. And if the user is trying with the correct username and password, that entry will reflect here, and then admin can get the what is the exact issue. And then if the entry is not here, that means the user is trying with either invalid username or invalid user and invalid password. And here you will also see what was the login URL. Either you try to log in with the help of standard URL that Salesforce does provide, or with the help of your domain, what was the domain that you have enabled for your environment. And you will also see what was the method. Either it was post method with the help of some kind of application, or you are trying to use some kind of APIs, and then you are trying to access your Salesforce system. And you can also download in a form of zip file or in a form of CSV file. And then here in your content you can see what kind of information you want to get. If you want to download, either you want to see website logins only, or if you want to get all the logins, and you can download those information in CSV form or zip file, and you can extract that information for your purpose. So with that, as we know that in each session we are working on our project. So here we have a problem statement, like we want to see how much amount has been paid for a particular invoice, and what was the previous status uh, before changing the status for a particular invoice. So let's enable that field history tracking for invoice object. So what we will do is we'll quickly enable that. So this checkbox is already checked. We don't need to do anything else. We just need to quickly go to our fields and relationship, set history tracking. And there was only two fields. One was amount paid and one was status. Save this. And the other thing that we do need to do is we need to add that history object as a related list. Now let's quickly verify this, either it is working or not. So we created that app. I will make it as 101 from status open to overdue. After saving, in this invoice history, you will see one for created, and then two, one for the status field and one for amount paid. Now see what is the problem. So showcase of audit track to metadata changes. So if you go back to your setup audit trail, you will get we have made some changes into the object. So here, if you notice that we whitelisted the IP. What was the range for that? We added an IP range for our profile. We'll also get that information here, and then we enable the field history tracking for two fields, one for status and amount. What was the object? We can see the object name here itself, and then we modified that page layout. So this is how you can get each and every metadata, whatever any user is making changes into the system. And the next problem is we already saw how debug log works and what are all the entry points for that, and then review the login history for ABC Corp. That is our virtual, like that is our virtual, we can say, imaginary company that we are working for this mini project, and then we already added. So to add this, let's see, we have some profiles for that specific. So this is a system admin clone profile. Let's say that we wanted to prevent the user from logging outside of some specific IP ranges. We can add here. So we already have one IP range here, and the description is saying that universal IP address. So basically, this IP address enables the user having this system admin profile from anywhere in the world they are. This is the subnet marks which contains all the IP ranges. All IP ranges will comes between these two IP ranges. So with this, before we open up the base for question and answer, I will tell you once, like our session has been rescheduled to 7:30, the coming two sessions. To register that sessions, go to our apexhours.com, our website, and then navigate to apexhour for students. And from here, you will get information under curriculum section. We are here in episode 10. We are left with two more episodes. So to register for the coming episode that is on tomorrow, just go to data management with Salesforce, and here you will see register for episode 11, and you need to select the date here as so either the episode is on 20, so make sure that you have selected the correct date so that you don't miss any information here, and then you need to fill your information. And once you will register, you will get a notification email to your email for with the link for joining. So this is it for the session, and we have some additional resources for this. So to turn the debug log, we have a module in our trailhead. You can find it for saying that debug log and trailhead. You will get that module, and we also have some Salesforce developer guides, or we also have some Salesforce help desk article. From there, you can learn about all these things what we have learned, like enabling field history, audit trail, and debug log, email logs, or how we can work with IP whitelisting or login history. Thank you.
Excuse me. Hello.
Yes,
Yes.
please.
Can we able to query that through SOAQL that field track history information through the SQL query?
Yes, we can query that. I don't remember that exact object API name on top of my mind, but yes, we can query that. And if you want to visualize the data in some custom components like Visual Force pages, web components, or Lightning components, you can do that.
Okay. Okay.
So just to add to what Amit just said, right? Whenever you enable field history tracking for an object, there is a new object that gets created automatically behind the scenes. So let's say if you're doing account and you history tracking, field history tracking for account, there is an account history object that gets created, right? And all this data is written to that particular object. This object is created and maintained by Salesforce, but you can query on that particular object and then get the data, but you will not be able to write to that. Okay.
Okay.
Guys, if you have questions, feel free to post in the chat window. I do not see too many questions today, but there was one which I have already answered, but I'd probably like to emphasize on that again. There is a session on data import and export tomorrow. So tomorrow's session is going to be focusing on that particular aspect of Salesforce. So yes, we are going to cover that tomorrow. But any questions? We still have a few minutes before we call it a day. Feel free to post your questions in the chat window. All right, looks like Amit's session was very, very informative and very clear. Nothing much to which is left to everybody's imagination. But thank you for that wonderful session, Amit. Beyond that, I'd just like to add to what Amit has been talking. There are two very specific things: field history tracking and audit trail, right? So these are both of these track changes, but the key difference between these two aspects is field history tracking purely tracks changes associated with data, so the values that are being stored in the fields, whereas audit trail is more driven towards metadata changes. So if you have a question which somebody's asking, which says that, can you tell me who modified the profile yesterday and changed certain permissions, or can you tell me when and how was a certain page layout modified? If that is a question, then setup audit trail is the answer to your question, because that is where you would go and look and check for the details of who modified the metadata. But if you're talking about, hey, do you know who modified or what are the changes that were made to the opportunity stage, right? How did it directly go from qualification to close lost? Who and when was that done? If that is a question that you are trying to answer, then field history tracking is something that you would be using to troubleshoot get answers to your questions. Okay, I think there's one question which is based on the daily sessions. Can we have some bullet points with respect to few interview questions which are generic? So yes, we will try to do a session where we can give you some pointers in terms of how to prepare for an interview purely from a Salesforce standpoint. But that's of course at a later point in time. Meanwhile, I think it's time to call it a day. So again, thank you, Amit, for that wonderful session, and thank you everyone for being so patient and joining the session today. Please note that all the sessions here onwards will be conducted at 7:30 p.m. Indian Standard Time. So make sure that make a note of the change and join in accordingly. And also, if you are aware of people who do not know about this change, please let them know as well. So thank you once again. Good night. Stay safe, stay hungry, and stay foolish, and keep learning. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.